Hoop Dreams, the podcast, an Unlearning Network production.
Man, we got a special guest today. We want to explore the new college NIL rules and how student athletes are navigating this. And to talk about this is one of the quarterbacks with the UCLA Bruins. He threw over, man, this is incredible, 11,000 yards, 123 touchdowns in his high school career. Come on, man. 11,000 yards, 123 touchdowns in his high school career, and was named the Gatorade Texas State Player of the Year, Ford Built Tough Player of the Year. He completed his university degree, get this AG, in 2 years. Come on, man, 2 years. I'm still working on mine. No, I'm kidding. I got my degree, but it took me more than 2 years. And while playing football, he did this, and now he's working on his master's degree at UCLA while continuing to play. He's already signed an NIL with brands like Degree, Shell, Boost Mobile, Discord, and others. Today, we'd like to welcome a unique person to the Hoop Dreams podcast as he shares his journey with us. I'm Will Gates. That's my dog.
Arthur AG.
We have none other than the one and only Chase Griffin.
CG.
Welcome to the show, man. We're so glad to have you on the show, man.
Yes.
This is special today.
Yes, we repping that number. We repping that number 11. We repping that number
I see
11.
That's right.
Absolutely. Man, let's just jump right into it, Chase. Our podcast is a little bit different. We like to really know the origin stories of, man, how you got started. And man, I was reading so much up on you that, man, your story is so fascinating. So let's go back to your childhood. Take us back, man. Tell us a bit about the Chase Griffin origin story, where you grew up, what was your neighborhood like? Give us some details.
Right. So I was born actually down Wilshire. I live right off Wilshire now in Grand Housing. I was born down Wilshire at UCLA Santa Monica Hospital.
Really?
And when I was around 3.5, 4, my parents wanted to raise me somewhere else. So my mother is from Princeton, New Jersey. That's too close. And my father was from my father's from Austin, Texas. So that ended up being where we moved. My father's sister and my cousins, who I'm close with still, were already there and grew up around, I'd say, 5-minute drive away from my house. So, I mean, I was really in Round Rock. I ended up going to high school at Hutto, but I grew up in Round Rock. It was a nice neighborhood. It was suburban. And I think growing up, you learn how to operate in demographics that don't always match who you are.
He's saying that real nice, AG.
And in that, I think it's important that you remember who you are and have a good sense of self. That way you don't get lost in the sauce. As far as going up through middle school, high school, and even young, I was always raised with heavy priority on academics and excellence in everything. Even as a little 3-year-old, I remember lessons here in LA where my mother would take me to do violin. And I continued that all the way until high school, where I could really focus on football. But growing up, it was always violin. And then my first sport was soccer. And there's a trainer named David Den, who's one of the best soccer trainers in Austin. That's where I learned how to train. I was 5 or 6 or 7, and I was balling every Saturday at the league. I was scoring about 5 goals a game, literally. And that's where I learned how to compete, learned how to win, and got used to being an excellent player and an excellent trainer.
Wow.
And those habits carried me throughout school. My mother is actually an English teacher. She helped me with a lot of my homework, especially growing up. And then my father, he comes from a long line of teachers where he doesn't teach, but in the Jim Crow South in Third Ward, Houston, which is where the Setons and Griffins originate from, they were all principals, they were all teachers, and they were all people who chased higher education in Jim Crow South that didn't really make it easy or accessible for that. So I've always had pride in who I am, not only personally, but the people that I come from. And I think it's important, especially for people of color who often don't have an identity that's easily placed upon them, that's beneficial to their life, to find who they really are and have a sense of pride about that. So, I mean, growing up, I was blessed to have two great parents. I'm the oldest of three. I have one younger sister. She's at Stanford. She's killing it.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, she's a freshman there now. And then I have a baby brother. He's 9. So, or he's 8, actually. So we'll see how he turns out. But he's going to be the best one out of us because he has me and Rose.
So your sister is the middle baby, is the middle child, huh?
Yeah, but she's going to be the richest.
That's what's up. So y'all grew up, I mean, your family pretty close, your brothers and sisters. I mean, y'all grew up a tight-knit family?
Definitely. Absolutely. And you know, I have my cousins there, but it was mostly immediate family. And, it was always priorities, you know, my faith. That's really what everything's predicated on, my belief in God. And that really holds me through everything. And then right under that is my family, academics, and then football and whatever else there is to accomplish.
And you talked a little bit about how soccer was your first love. I just gotta ask, you still kick it a little bit today, or you just left soccer alone?
Freshman year, I played a little bit with the intramural squads, but I mean, it was tough, especially during COVID, and then I haven't really gotten back to it. But no, soccer is always fun.
How did you make that transition from playing soccer to football? Was it introduced to you? Was your mom and dad put you in some little leagues?
It was more like, right, yeah. So growing up, I played soccer, but on those Sundays, I loved watching football. You know, I had always asked, hey, can I play football? Can I play football? And my mother was like, you're not playing that until you're bigger, until I was 10. So that's when I started playing. I started playing 5th grade. And then after that, it's hard to do both, especially because I was starting to play academy and select and really going hard with the training in soccer. And you can't do that in football. So after that first season of football, it went well. I fell in love with playing, especially being a quarterback. And I'm like, man, this is it for me. This is the sport.
So that was it. And I was reading your story, man. First of all, again, you got a fascinating story. And I know this might be a difficult question I'm getting ready to ask you because you got so many, and I know you can always say mom and dad, but the early influence in your life, your mentors in your life, can you just tell us who they were and how did they really help you come along?
Right. I mean, I'd say obviously my mother and father, but as far as people outside blood, I'd say Trent Dilfer, who's the head coach of Elite 11, and primarily George Whitfield, who I almost consider family. And I say that because in my first training session with George Whitfield, I was probably around 11 or 12. I had sent him my Mighty Mike Pop Warner highlight tape. And he was like, yeah, come on out. So we went out there. The reason why we ended up going out there was my father and I were watching the special on Cam Newton. And it was a special in his draft process. And George trained Cam Newton during his draft process. But the thing that really made it official to us, we didn't know George. We just knew Cam. We knew Warren Moon. Like
the legend.
Warren Moon, that's back there at the quarterback position. And we saw as soon as Warren Moon was on the special giving the cosign, we were like, oh yeah, George must be official. We better go see him. And so we went out there. And after that first training session, he said, you want to go to Elite 11, which is probably the best high school college quarterback camp, especially at that time. And I bobblehead there. And Coach Whitfield had me film a little video requesting to go, and Coach Dilfer let me come out. And those two have always been extreme positive and honest support. And the wealth of knowledge and access they allowed me to have at a young age, I think really shaped a lot of where I'm at today on the football side.
So tell us how that camp, when you got there, like how did that day go? Was you excited?
Right.
Was you like anxious to show?
Oh, I was so excited. So I wasn't even really competing, but the way I did everything was always 100%. So
It probably made
I was like 11 or 12. I was a little kid out there. The rest of these guys, they were high schoolers. So it was guys going into their senior year competing at the camp. Guys like Jared Goff,
What?
like it was just straight killers there. Yeah, like if you look, probably most of the league has been through that Elite 11 process, whether it be regionals or finals. But they had some real dudes there, and seeing how they competed. Not only that, but also I wasn't afraid at all. I was 11 or 12. I was, stealing reps
Right.
where I could, where I probably wasn't supposed to. So it was something where you just got comfortable being amongst the best and feeling like I'm not out of place. And to be able to have that feeling at 11 or 12, once you get to that age, once you get to college, you're like, I already been here before. This is what I've been doing my whole life. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And you can just compete freely and be yourself.
Hey, Will, I don't know about you, 11 and 12, I was a little scrawny something, bro. Like, I'm wondering, like, what your body looking like? Was you like a average 11 to 12?
Yeah, I was a little chubby kid. Yeah. I started out skinny. And then around like 10, 11, 12, got chubby, and I slimmed out throughout high school.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's so crazy, man. And I'm also just trying to think, man, did you know you was amongst legends at the time, though? I'm just saying, 10 and 11.
Right.
Did you know where you were at and what was happening?
Right. Well, I think the coolest part is I'm not even sure if the kids knew where they were going to be. Because, they're younger than I am now. When I think back, I'm like, they're kids to me now. So I look back, I'm like, man, they're 16, 17.
Mm-hmm.
They probably don't even know. I mean, they definitely have an idea. They got their colleges set up, but they don't know they're going to be playing for a Super Bowl or competing on that type of level in 5 to 6 years.
Wow.
That's why it's such a cool experience to see.
Now, in football, they try to, as the individual, you say, well, I want to play this position. Was there any other position that you started out playing, or was it always quarterback?
So growing up, my favorite player when I was watching the highlights on Sundays was LaDainian Tomlinson.
Oh.
So at first I wanted to be a running back, and I played flag football. Before I could play tackle, I played flag football. In my first 2-3 years playing flag football, I was running back, and I was a beast because I was faster than all the kids because I played soccer, and that was my stuff. Like agility and speed was my game. That's what I trained on. But before playing tackle, my father was like, I don't want you taking all these hits that a running back has to take. It's a tough life. And so he said, and he also knew my aptitude. Like I've always been a good test taker. I've always been sure of myself. I've always been someone who moved with conviction. Even as a little kid, I've been the same for a long time. And I think he saw that and recognized that would be good at the quarterback position.
Wow.
And a lot of those characteristics that I had where I'm always even killed, never too high, never too low, are some of the things that make me successful, and especially in games where as a performer, I'm someone who performs with no mind. I just don't even think, I just do. And it tends to work out pretty well. So.
When did you know? Like, we often ask this question, how did you know you were good? At what point did you know I'm a bad boy? When did you know? Right.
I always think I knew I was a good player relative to a lot of the people around me. But I'd say my signature moment where I showed to everyone, including myself, and especially my family, what I was about was my sophomore year of my first varsity game. I remember the time leading up to that was tumultuous. Like my freshman year, I was the first kid. I mean, it was my first year in the district. I transferred to Hutto. They had a really good engineering program and a great head coach. That's why I went. And I really liked the head coach, and he believed in me. But that first year, I was a new kid in the district. They had their quarterbacks that they liked, even the receivers. And so it was a battle every day where, some of the coaches who have been in huddle their entire life, they know the other quarterbacks' pops, they know this kid, they coached him in Pop Warner. So they try him out for a couple drives, and they try me out for a couple drives. And I was always excelling. I started, we went off every game. And that cohort of receivers ended up, falling in line just because they realized, as a receiver, you want the best possible quarterback there getting you to rock. And that's how I played. So my freshman year, we went 10-0. We beat a couple of really good teams too. But that was freshman ball. We were playing other freshman teams. Varsity, that first game, well, leading up to varsity, we had spring ball. So I was doing great all spring. And then the spring game, I had 3 picks. I was terrible. And so then that whole summer is like, oh my goodness, you got to rework it all again. Because then you got the older brothers of these receivers in my class telling them, no, go with the other dude, stuff like that. But it ended up working out where I started that first game. And from that game on, really went off. That first game, I had 6 touchdowns and 400 yards. And I knew I was good. I was working so hard that summer just because I wasn't happy about how spring ended. But to actually see it in fruition, it was great for me. And then to everyone else, it basically just stamped like, yeah, this is our guy. As long as he's at this high school, he's going to be playing.
I bet whoever caught them passes, them 6 touchdowns, I know them receivers, I know they was like, we want to roll with him every game now, coach. We got to go with him.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's always been, especially in my football career, something that's been present. Like, it's never really about the playing. When I'm on the field, I take care of it. Like, when I'm on the field, it's going to happen well. Everything's going to go well. It's just about getting to that point. It's just about getting to that field. Because as soon as I'm on the field, it's just the way I play. It's going to work.
So let me ask you this, Chase. From throwing those 3 interceptions, you say you threw 3 picks, and then coming back, starting it as a sophomore because you didn't like the way that spring went. What was the mental aspect that you had? Like, I mean, I'm thinking like, a young kid would be like, damn, I threw 3 picks. Like, you would be taking that to your, next game and be thinking about it. What was it? You just like, oh, I threw those. I knew what I did wrong. Boom, I'm gonna adjust. And was it that quick, or was you like?
I think now it would be easier for me to do that, but I hadn't proven myself at that point. I was playing. I played well as a freshman, but we were playing other freshman teams. And then Texas high school football varsity. And I lived in one of those one-horse teams. Like, y'all probably know it's for Chicago basketball, but like in Hutto and in towns like that, where I grew up in the suburbs, but Hutto it's suburban, but it's really country. And it was one of those towns like Friday Night Lights where they shut everything down and the whole town comes out and supports. Wow. And you'll have 7,000 or 8,000 filling up the stands, but another 500 standing around the track watching.
Okay.
And so to be able to have the opportunity to go out there and prove myself, I think really solidified it to myself. Because, of course, especially as a 15-year-old who doesn't have, the prototype body type, I was probably like 5'4", 5'5". I wasn't rocked up or anything.
Right.
I was just, a kid out there who could ball. And to have the performance I did at the end of spring, it was definitely easy for the thought to creep in, like, am I as good as the coach believes in me? Am I even going to start? Like, is it going to go the way that I thought it was going to go based off of freshman year? And so I think what kept me stable was the belief in the work and primarily my faith that everything's going to work out the way it was supposed to go.
Man, that's so encouraging to hear, man. I think a lot of particularly our young viewers, man, need to hear that because they struggle.
Yeah.
When they have a misstep or they have a setback, they don't know how to get back on track, especially if they don't have the right people in your corner. What was your family saying to you during that time?
Right. I mean, my family especially, both my parents, but my mother always expresses it unwavering, positive support. And I know my father has the same, but, fathers are a little bit different in how they express that. But I know that my father knew that I was a good player, and I don't think anyone believes in me like he does, which is huge. Like, you can never feel low. And to be able to have something bigger than my sport to go to is huge.
Yeah.
I think the issue that kids face at every level, but especially college when they're away from their families, is as soon as your sport becomes the biggest thing in your life, where you make it seem like that in your perspective, then as soon as your sport doesn't go right, which it won't most of the time, like there's going to be times it goes great, but most people don't play their freshman year, most people don't play their redshirt year, and some people never play. That doesn't mean the rest of your life isn't a huge win. There's kids right now here at UCLA who are probably miserable because they don't have the perspective to see that they're going to UCLA. They're in LA right now living for free, getting a college degree for free. And there's kids like that all over the country. And I think it's important that people in these spaces help advocate to these student athletes to see their wins and build on them. Because if you don't see the wins, it's going to be miserable. It's just going to feel like work.
Right. Yeah. I remember that's what you haven't seen the movie yet, but that's what Will said when he was in high school. He was like, shit, it started out fun. What'd you say, Will? Like, it started out fun, and then you said, shit, it seemed like a damn job.
Yeah, then it can turn on you at any moment. It can be an injury. It can be, lack of confidence. It can be you just can't handle hard coaching. It can be a multitude of things, man.
And then it transitions from that to now you don't want to go to school. Now you don't want to, go to your day job. Now you don't want to be a good son, be a good brother at home. And then your entire life comes crashing down because of something that happened in the game.
Yeah.
Where did you get that from? Because, man, again, you're 21. You got such a perspective on life and where to put the game and where to put your personal life and blend that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that is one of my questions. How did you blend the game and school to the point that you have the thought process that you have?
Right. Well, I think that really comes from my faith. And faith is definitely something where you believe in the works of God in your life on earth. But it's also the belief that the race is already finished. The race is already won. I already know my name is in the book of life. Everywhere here, I'm just playing with the house's money. And so I look at everything as an opportunity to be excellent in it, whether it be this interview. Like, I'm talking to myself before, like, man, I'm about to rock this. Like, they're not going to understand how hard I'm going to be coming on this. Like, I'm going to rock this. Or when I go to class, like, I'm going to participate the most and I'm going to bring the best discussions. Or on the football field, I'm going to be the best player that anyone's watching today. And when you have that outlook on life where you look at everything as what the best that it could be, and you look at everything as a possible win, you operate like that. Even in times where there's so-called failures, those are just opportunities. There's going to be another one. At the end of the day, I haven't lost what makes me me, and I haven't lost the overall prize.
Deep.
That is. And he's only 21.
Only 21.
Come on, somebody. Got a perspective on faith, the game, family, school. Man, he's betting.
Can I get an amen, Pastor?
I know, right? He got a quadruple double going right now, man. Amen, amen, amen. I mean, I'm so impressed with, man, everything that you accomplished up to this point. But I want to jump into this, man, because listen, I live in Texas now. I understand Texas football. I understand it from the Pee-wee on up. I see little kids out there right now when I'm driving down the street with helmets on, with the gear on, going through drills, and it's like 110 outside, what was your high school teams like? And of course, you told us about the draws you were getting, but man, and I know where Round Rock is at. I mean, I live in San Antonio,
Right.
so I know where you
Yeah,
at.
all right, I got you.
And so what was that like? Because I mean, truly, people don't understand, but in Texas, football is like Friday Night Lights. I mean, that's
Right. It's crazy.
yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. And I transitioned this to NIL now, where people are saying, I've been good in NIL. How do you seem like you've done this before? Or where did you get the experience to be able to work with brands? And Hutto has been a place where I was the face of the town as long as I was there. And when you're the best player on the best team in your area, in the state, you have great practice and perspective on what it's like to represent something more than yourself. And I've always done that with my family. I felt like that. But to actually have an entire town that gathers around you and has their emotions and ups and downs based off of your performance that night, and you get used to do it, where I played in front of them probably around 30, 35 times. It's a great feeling, but it's also something that you have to get used to and be prepared to perform under those circumstances at higher levels. So when people were asking me, when you played Oregon or Arizona, were you nervous? I hadn't played football in 2 years. I'm like, man, I've always played in front of crowds. I've always played in front of eyes. That doesn't affect me at the end of the day. It's the same football field. It's the same football, and it's the same routes. And it's all fun.
That's crazy because, hey, the way you just said that, that's how I played in high school and in college. Like, I didn't care who we was playing against. Like, the King team we beat, they had 2 7-footers, Chase. Like, we wasn't even, they had only lost 1 game. But everybody in the city thought like we supposed to have been scared of them. Like, I'm like, so what? Like, so what? They ranked number 1 in the country and we got to play them in a playoff game. Like, it was just like, it's just a regular game. So
right, they got to play.
Yeah, that's how my whole team felt. Like, we wasn't scared of nothing. Like, it's just a game.
Right.
But I like what you said, though, Chase. You said that you was prepared for the moment. I think sometimes that be the missing key. I think sometimes people, and we say this all the time, they don't want to put in the work. But I think what a lot of people miss is, man, when you were coming up, you put in the work. I mean, you were at the camps. You were working with quarterback coaches and doing the things, man. Talk a little bit about putting in the work so that people don't get it confused.
Right.
It's more than just, hey, you having confidence. You got to put some work in, too.
Right. No, it was so much work. And in the summers, it would be 100 balls a day, where I'd go out back on the net with my father and we'd throw. Or he'd bring out the speedometer to see how much velocity I'm getting. Or I would go running with my teammates every single morning, or throwing with your teammates. Like, it's important to get work by yourself, but in order to be a great team, you got to get work together. Especially at the quarterback position, anything in passing, you're relying on people up front to block, and you're relying on your playmakers to get open and catch the ball and deliver. And so being able to build that with my cohort of guys and teammates built trust in the games, and it made everything seem seamless, because we went into every game knowing that we couldn't be stopped, no matter what they brought. And when you're able to know that because of your preparation, you can just go out there and play the game of football and have fun with it. Now, that when people don't do that, that's when they messed up, because they pray for the opportunity to prepare for it. It's like, God can get you there, but you got to have a little up about yourself and know that you have something to factor into the equation.
Absolutely.
Hey, Will, let me tell Chase this, man. I got so much respect, and I think for the quarterback position, because football was my first love too. I wanted to be a wide receiver, and I thought I was a decent wide receiver, spectacular to my knowledge when I was like 8th grade, for real. I mean, I would, how do you say, and it's part of my
Right.
French, I would lay the fuck out for a pass like this, Chase.
Right.
So I got so much respect
Right.
for the quarterback position because you guys have to make a split decision in 1, 2, got to be gone. 2 seconds. And you rarely get 3 seconds if you got a good offensive line. But in 1, 2 seconds, you got to go through your progressions and your reads and get that thing out on time.
Right.
That's no pressure. I mean, it seems like that's no pressure for you neither. Like, oh shit, okay. Blue 23. Okay, I know where I'm going with this.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing is, the more you think, it's ironic. The more you think and the more you're looking, the worse you're going to do. You have to go into every play with a little plan in your mind. And then once the ball snaps, you got to be able to see patterns immediately. Like as soon as you see, oh, the corner's sitting, he's cutting, it's probably covered too. So I can have my whole shot. Or if he's dropping, like, man, I'm off that. I'm going to this side of the field now. And you have to be able to do that and know each play, have a little program in your head that you can go through. Otherwise, you really are just going to be searching.
Wow.
And it's not fun. You're just going to be in panic mode the whole game.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny you say that because I used to tell my boys that all the time when they was coming up playing ball. I used to say, listen, man, you got to have at least 5, 6 moves out of 1 move. You got to be able to adjust instantly, and it can't be something that just happens. You got to already see that thing. And AG is right, man. The quarterback, I mean, I can only imagine when you got these, especially now you're playing on the collegiate level, these 450-pound guys, coming at you.
See, that's another thing about playing in Texas is I was playing those guys.
Ooh, yeah.
Like already. Like we had guys at a school that we played called Maynard. They always have dogs. I think they just had to do the TCU. We had a guy actually at Hutton who's at TCU now. They had a guy at TCU, at Florida, a dude who went to Tech. Like they just had straight dogs too. You know, I had 6 tubs on them. but they were getting back there. And when you're used to that, I think it's a huge advantage. But going to your point about having 5 or 6 moves and knowing what to do on each play, there's that end. But on the other end, they have to worry about the same things. So they can't do whatever they want. It's a finite amount of things you can expect from them too. And that's the positive, where you're like, yeah, I know I got to react off of them, but they have to react off of me too. And there's only so many things that they can do. Where when you know, like if you know what you know, you know the patterns, then it's playing easy.
He got it, AG. Yeah. He got it. Which, by the way, man, just a side note, he ain't lying too, AG. I'm telling you, the junior highs weight programs are ridiculous, man. They got them in them. I mean, man, there's some 7th, 8th graders out there, man, lifting 250 pounds, man.
This junior high.
This junior high.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's crazy.
6th, 7th, 8th graders, man, out here looking like, little bitty men with mustaches and goatees, man.
Hey, Will, look, I don't know if you and Chase, you can chime in on this too. The only window I've had into real Texas football was the documentary that they did on Carter High School. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I love that film.
I mean, that's really how it is.
What?
The whole time now support is craziness all over the team. Like it's wild.
Dude.
Because it's Texas personified. Like Texas is awesome, it's grand, but it's also wild. And you have all that put into one.
Man, they had about 13 dudes all ready to go to D1 off of that Carter high school football team. 13 major D1s.
And they're not in the mountain. There's probably around 50 teams like that in Texas.
What?
And,
Yes.
And I'm in Cali now, so everybody out here is like, man, Cali's the best. But the difference is there's some really good teams out here in Cali, but they're all private schools, and there's kids coming from 2 hours away going to school every morning. Texas, all those kids live together. Like all those kids live in the same neighborhood.
Yeah,
see each other all the time.
It's not like these. It's not like these private schools where they recruit kids from an hour and a half away. You know, the kids who go to Duncanville or the kids who go to South Oak Cliff live in South Oak Cliff. They live right there off Westmoreland.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, Chase, why don't you give our listeners, man, tell them like when you play a rival school,
Right.
how big that is.
Right. Oh, it's huge. All week, kids who you would not expect to be talking about football would start talking about it. Like, I think y'all gonna win. I got 10 on y'all. I got 20 on y'all. Like, it's just stuff like that where, and it's great because there's a sense of pride for the school. And when the team's winning, they really are able to take pride. And that goes back to what I was saying about repping your school and repping your town. You get used to other people placing expectations on you and being able to deliver. And that's what it's about. You add value to the place around you and the people around you.
Wow.
Well, let's jump into your recruiting, man, because now, I mean, you Mr. Everything, not just for your city, your community, but the state. What was that process like?
Right. Yeah, so I'm only about 5'10", probably now about $185. And I'm a lot leaner now than I was in high school, but I didn't have a prototypical body type in high school. I was really just a baller.
Yeah, but you had them damn soccer feet.
Yeah, I was always great in the pocket, and the awareness was out there. I mean, as a player, I couldn't really be touched. Like, there weren't too many quarterbacks in the state, let alone the country, that could go out every single night and play like I did.
Wow.
The stats show that. As far as the recruiting side, wasn't a prototypical guy. You show up to these junior days and the coaches give you the eyeball test and they shake your hand and say, thank you for coming. Or you go to a camp where I would just kill it. Like, I would have all-time performances at camps where I would go like 40 for 41 in competition drills, and the one incompletion was a drop. Like, it would just be days where if I was going up there, it was going to be a completion. Where they end with a little photo, handshake, thank you for coming. Wow. And that was really a tedious time, both with myself and my father. And I know that it was hurting me, but I also know it was hurting my father because we were going and he was seeing how well I was playing. And he was seeing how hard I worked. And it was just seeing every single time that I didn't get the offer, like, man, is the dream in jeopardy? Is all this work gonna... And I could just see it. But I always had faith that it was going to work out. And so my first offer actually came through Mike McDaniel, the new head coach at the Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
And it was actually at a camp called Quarterback Collective, which is also a great quarterback camp that was primarily for high schoolers when I did it. But they had NFL coaches coming back doing the camp.
Wow.
So we had NFL coaches like McVay came and spoke to us. Kyle Shanahan was there. The LaFleur brothers were there. So all these guys underneath the Shanahan coaching tree came and basically ran the camp. Mike McDaniel was watching, and they talked about who they could see going to the NFL from one of the groups that day. And somebody had said Justin Fields, so who's in the NFL, and me. Or the 5'9" kid. That's how they call it.
That's what they ain't even call you by your name. Oh, the 5'9" kid.
Right. And so, and they're like, well, where does he have offers? And everyone's like, man, he doesn't have any offers.
What?
And I was coming off a sophomore year where I had 3,000 yards. So I had a notable amount of yards. I had really good film. But no offers. And,
what did Pops say? What did Pops think about that? My boy got 3,000 yards, but he ain't got no offers.
Yeah, I probably can't say how he was feeling just because I won't be able to post
Right.
but you know how it was. But I mean, so Mike McDaniel, he had a pipeline to the coaches at Yale, and he had the coaches at Yale watch my film, and they offered me, and that was huge because it's big to be able to how the recruitment game goes. It's really a copycat league where as soon as one school offers, other ones do. So after that, within the next 6 to 7 months, I had a 4,000. I think I had like 4,200 passing yards that year. Something that was amongst the lead or the state leaders, and my film got way better. I made a jump athletically.
Wow.
And well, I got most of the Ivy League to offer over the next 7 months. And so I was established as someone who had offers, who had great stats, great film, and it made it easier for other schools to approach me. And then I really always predicated, academics over everything. And my father always wanted me to go to Harvard. And so I always liked Harvard.
Okay.
And it was funny. I think they were about to offer me. This is after my junior year, going into my senior year. That summer, there was a camp at Harvard that I was going to go to. I think it was either that Thursday or that Friday, where I'd been talking to the quarterback coach and offense coordinator, and I think they were going to offer, and I was probably going to commit. Chip Kelly texted me out of nowhere about a week before that, saying, "Are you free next week to come out to LA and throw?" I went out to UCLA on a Tuesday, killed the camp, had one of my best performances. They offered, I committed the spot.
Wow.
That fast.
I'm not gonna be there.
Chase, it happened that fast from when Harvard.
That fast.
It happened that fast.
It just shows how God works, because I just think back and I think about how I was born down Wilshire, and I'm like, I always loved LA. I used to come out here for vacation. I loved it. And I'd always wanted to do that, but it just didn't seem like the thing that was going to happen. So I was like, man, let me go to Harvard. Let me run the Ivy League, get this degree right quick, and then get rich quick. But UCLA hit me out of the blue. And that was actually through another relationship, through Coach Dilfer, where I'm super grateful, where it was a similar situation. He had a relationship with Coach Kelly and let him know about me, and they watched the film and wanted to get a closer look. And I'm still grateful to Coach Dilfer. I'm very grateful to Coach Kelly for having conviction, pulling that trigger. And I still think that the dividends that it will pay for the UCLA program and for him and for myself are still not over. I still have 3 years to play here, eligibility-wise, and I know that.
How do you have 3 years left?
Right. So I'm class of 19 for high school.
Okay.
So I graduated in 2 years. I graduated last summer, and then I'm in the master's program now. But I played 3 seasons, but the second season didn't count because
Didn't count. Okay.
So I played 2 of my 5 seasons technically.
Wow. Only up from here, baby.
That's amazing. That's right.
3 more years.
So that was it. So it was just, I can't even say it was Harvard, because once UCLA came in, how did mom and dad feel about that? Especially since you just said dad wants you to go to Harvard. Was dad like, really, son?
Right. I mean, there's always grad school, and I do intend to go to business school after I'm done with football, and I probably well, I don't know. UCLA is great, but I also would like to apply to Stanford and Harvard for business school eventually.
AG, he on a whole different plan, man.
Damn.
He's on a whole different plan. I love it, man.
I wish I had your brain when I was in college. Shit.
Oh, man. This is amazing. Well, listen here, Chase, man. We got this thing we call halftime. And what we want to do is hit you with some quick hitters, to throw at you, man, and let's get into it. So
Mhm.
you are in the state literally where the movie Friday Night Lights was inspired.
Right.
Have you seen the TV show, and how accurate is it?
It's very accurate. I'll say the aspects of it with some aspects are definitely over glorified, but as far as the buy-in and the amount of gravity that how the football team is doing has on the town around you is definitely accurate.
You gonna hit him, Will, or you want me to hit him?
No, you got it.
Okay. The 3 toughest stadiums you done played in during high school, and the 3 toughest in university.
Okay. So there's a stadium in Bryan. All the games I played there, I played well, but it's the turf is super deep. Like you just feel like you're sinking in.
What?
So that's one. Yeah, it's
Like a contour pillow or something, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Like that.
He says like it's sinking in the turf, Will.
Exactly. No, so I always remembered that one. And then as far as environment wise, Cedar Park, which is a perennial power in Texas, they got me my sophomore and junior year. We beat them worse than they've ever been beaten my senior year. So I got the last laugh. But that junior year, we played there, and it was just so loud.
Like crazy. You can't even hear the play.
It was crazy. It was probably 10 or 12,000 deep. They have a really big stadium. It was so loud.
High school, AG.
High school.
All right, give
10
And
to
then
12,000.
third. Give me the third one.
Third, it wasn't tough for us, but it was tough for other people. At Hutto, our student section used to get crazy. Like they would make it a point that kids would wait all week and be excited thinking about Friday going out there and being wild.
Wow.
That is crazy. Insane. Now, we just want to warm you up with those. Now
Well,
we really
I
about
gotta get
You gotta
to
get to the college though, Will.
but hit him.
Yeah, so number one loudest stadium I've ever been in is Utah. Utah's crazy.
Really?
Yeah. It's not that big, but it's a dome and it's very vertical. And you got all these people waving these flags that are probably around like 20-foot poles. It looks crazy.
Wow.
Then
Okay, Utah.
Oregon was crazy loud.
Oregon?
It was hard to hear.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'll say third loudest, the Rose Bowl got really loud against LSU. It got really loud, which is crazy because the Rose Bowl is known, even though it's huge, it's open.
Right.
So the sound escapes it. But against LSU, it was getting loud. And then when we cranked on going into the fourth quarter, when we cranked on that California Love and the light show started flashing, and it was live.
What? That gotta be some of the dopest shit ever. Y'all from California, love. Oh.
Yeah. Even the LSU boys were getting it.
Oh.
I just knew you was going to throw USC in there.
Man, it ain't nothing when SC does is official.
I hear you. I feel you on that one, man. I feel you on that
That
one.
season fell off, man.
Let me hit you with this. Well, we'll see this year,
They're
right?
trying, though. They're trying.
Let me hit you with this, man. Since you are a quarterback, and you can even name yourself, top 5 quarterbacks of all time.
I think number one at this point, you got to go Brady.
Okay.
Definitely. Number 2, Montana. Joe Montana.
Okay.
Number 3, not yet, but eventually it's going to be Pat Mahomes. And he might catch all of them. Number 4, Aaron Rodgers.
A-Rod.
And then my number 5 is going to catch a lot of people by surprise. But when it's all said and done, I think he gets a couple Super Bowl rings, and that's Lamar Jackson.
Really?
Wow, okay.
Yeah, his potential. When you just study the stats, like his efficiency is great. As soon as they get some receivers, Baltimore is going to be unstoppable.
I'm liking all 5 of those. I'm liking all 5 of them picks.
Yeah.
Chase, give me your 3 favorite sneakers to wear around and your favorite game cleats.
Yeah, so All three of them right here.
Oh, he got him with
Got
him.
him on hand.
These 11s are actually special to me because I used to wear them. I used to run the field every pre-game, and I would run the field in these in my UCLA sweats. My junior and senior year.
Got the UCLA gold on there, the patent leather.
Yeah. Now I got these Kobe's. These are clean.
I ain't never seen them Kobe's. What the hell?
No, they clean.
Is them like a gold color
Yeah, them
too?
special there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Them special there. Them special there.
And then my favorite ones right now, I don't know. I know they get a lot of connotation because of the memes and stuff. Black Air Force.
Black Air Force Ones, baby. I love those.
And the
Yes,
I love them,
yes,
fam.
I like these 12s. Yeah, we got these 12s
Okay.
for the whole season. Yeah, so that's really what I've been rocking right now. I need to get some more Jordans. I think when I first got here, I was more on the ones. I got these right here. These are classic.
Okay.
Some classic ones. But yeah, that's really what I wear those for. And then as far as cleats, I wish we could switch it up more. And maybe in the future we're allowed to. But right now, this is what we wear. So the cleats are
Oh, that's okay.
this peel off, but they're gold right here. But yeah, the cleats are clean.
It's dope.
AG, I think he might be the first on podcast history to actually have the physical evidence of what he
Of the
wears.
sneakers.
This is the first time I think this is of the sneakers. This is the first time I've ever seen the actual sneakers, man. I love it.
And we done had a sneaker designer on the show.
Right.
That's right. That's right. Boy, that's real there, man. That's real there. All right, man. This is going to be tough for you. Your top favorite football movies.
I mean, I think number one is Remember the Titans.
I knew you was going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, because the story's clean, but you also got Denzel, who's one of my favorite actors. Like, it doesn't really get much better than that. I'd say everything else really falls short. I also like, what was it? It was the Ernie Davis story, The Express. That's my favorite one. Yeah, that was,
Be like, Chase, why are you smiling? Oh, you think football's fun, huh? Not anymore, huh? Not anymore.
Him and Samuel Jackson, the two best fictional coaches.
Hey, ain't they bad?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Oh, that's classic. Chase, what you got on the playlist? Give me your top 3 or top 5 songs you rocking, you listening to.
Yeah, so let me check. Lately, I've been getting back into the old ones. The Super Bowl show got me listening to that Get Rich by Trying Out.
Okay.
It's classic. It's all bangers. But honestly, I listen to a lot of my own stuff. I make beats. So yeah, I have to send you my SoundCloud link after. So I'll make a beat and then I'll put an acapella over it. So my last beat, I took that Off the Grid off of the Kanye album, and I took the acapella and I put it on one of my own beats.
Yeah.
So like a lot of time I listen to my own stuff.
I seen that on his Instagram page, Will. He was making some beats and he's talking about he like melodies and all this stuff. Like this dude gonna be a music producer, Will. He like a Renaissance man.
Hey, listen, he a man of faith. He got 4 streams coming to him, man. He know where all the rivers come from, man. He pouring it in.
Yeah.
Since you said that, though, since you play the violin, have you ever used the violin with one of your raps? Threw it to a beat?
I need to. So right now, I got this too. Right here. Like before I hopped on here, I was actually making beats. So I got this.
Okay.
That's sort of what I plan. I need to get a violin to it.
Is that a drum machine?
Yeah, so it's got the drum machine
Pads
with the
on
pads on it, but you can also play keys.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like the producer starter kit is what people start out with.
That's what's up.
But
Here's the real question, though. You selling those beats? That's the real question.
Nah, not yet. Not yet. I like sampling. So selling would be tough for me because I have no way of
Clearing samples, right?
Yeah, I like sampling.
I hear that, man.
Right.
Wow. Well, listen, man, thank you for doing halftime with us. What we want to jump to, man, is now the university football, the present time. You at UCLA, man. Talk to us about, you did a little bit earlier about your commitment going there and how, Chip Kelly gave you that phone call. But talk about when you first got on that campus.
Right.
What was that like?
It's otherworldly how beautiful it is. And every time I go home or I go somewhere else for a break and then come back, it always just hits me again like, man, UCLA really is one of the prettiest places on earth. It's a huge blessing. And now that my living situation is the best it's been since I've been here, since I got to grad housing, it just makes it, a walk in the park. But, those first days walking to class were really off the chain.
Yeah.
So talk about that, because he talking, but he ain't talking, AJ. So
you got to go under the words.
Right, what you saying?
You got to go under the words.
Definitely that was new. When you get to UCLA, the selection as far as girls is just off the chain. Once you get here. And it's so many, that was a huge thing, eye-opening, probably just as it is for most people.
Right.
But I got a girl now, so I'm settled for that.
He don't want to talk too much about that now.
You can still
tell us for the podcast.
You can still talk about how it was when you got there before you had a girlfriend.
That's
my head
right.
AG was on a swivel. I used to go to the yard and just people watch. You know how people go bird watching AG? I go people watching.
That's right. That's
too dope, man.
Chase, you got to give us something.
It's a completely different world from high school.
Yeah.
And it's probably like that at most places. But, at UCLA, especially the city of LA, is so predicated on how you look and all that. Where that it was crazy once you first got here. You 17, 18, first time away from home, first time away from college,
Yeah,
I already know what you're saying. I'm gonna help you out. In other words, this is what he's saying.
What he say, Will?
I didn't know what pretty was until I started really seeing what pretty was all about. That's what he's saying.
He's saying, and you can throw the weather in there too. That's what I meant. The weather was
That's
pretty
right.
too.
That's right. The weather made it beautiful out here.
Hey, Will.
Not all them gorgeous women walking past me.
He even go so far to say, even the classrooms, the classwork was pretty.
That's right. Don't you like how you talk all around it? Oh man, in my living situation, it's just fantastic, I mean, what he really saying in the code is every time I open up my blinds, I see him walking past my window. That's what you got to catch the stuff, man. But man, we want to keep it moving. So beautiful campus, you loving it. What I want to know, and I think a lot of our listeners want to know, man, what was that biggest difference that you noticed in the shift from high school to college football?
Right. I think it's not being home. When you're in high school, no matter how the day goes, you get to come home. I was blessed to have both mother and father who I knew. I could talk to a mother who's probably the sweetest person I've ever known, ever will know. Like she's unique in that sense. She's a teacher. And to be able to have that in your house every single time, good, bad, or ugly, is a huge reset each day. You never feel like everything's going bad or everything's crashing down. You never feel like that. I had to adjust coming here because when I first got to UCLA, I was injured. And so I couldn't really throw. I'd injured my wrist in my last football game. And I couldn't throw. I was rehabbing every day, which is a super struggle for all the athletes who've been hurt before. And then I was going to class. And you had to work on managing your time, seeing the people around you get lost in the sauce, get caught up in LA, get caught up in their first years at college. And you got to have the discernment to be like, man, that looks fun, but it's not really what I'm about. Now, learn how to say no and learn how to focus on what you better get done. And I think those are the first steps to becoming an adult, because no one's there to remind you. You have to remind yourself who you are. You have to remind yourself what you got to accomplish each and every day. And, the colleges, they try to provide support. We have excellent academic counseling here, but the academics was really never my issue. And I wouldn't really say I had an issue, but the main thing that I had to figure out to keep me on track was being able to see the wins and being able to stay positive and stay focused on my goals.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when you got a red shirt a year. Me and Will was talking about this with his son up at Houston Baptist. He redshirting his first year and he's sitting out. And me and Will was talking about you have so much time on your hand when you're not playing. You're not traveling with the to the games, or you have that, and like you said, you can get caught up. One of your best friends could be on the team, and he can be so up and wild and like, hey man, come on, let's go to this party. The Greeks throwing a party here, and the all girl fraternity throwing a party there. You're like, no, dog, maybe I can't do all that. Maybe you here for another reason than why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? And so me and Will was talking about how he talked to his son about how to just how to time manage everything.
How did you handle that? I mean, you were, obviously it gave you enough time to. Matter of fact, man, I got a double question for you. One, how did you? Because you went to UCLA before you graduated. I mean, you graduated, but you didn't graduate with your class per se.
Right.
So how does that work? That's my first question, because I see a lot of football players do that.
I had to double up on classes that first semester of senior year. So I knocked out all my requirements to get my high school diploma that senior first semester, and I didn't go to high school my second semester. When I would be going the second semester, I was starting at UCLA mid-year.
That is crazy. Like, what is that day like? I mean, you're doubling on classes. What does that look like?
Yeah, it wasn't actually too bad, just because I had already taken so many advanced classes going through high school. So all I had to do was take really one more extra class.
Wow.
I just had to take 2 requirement classes that semester, and I was done.
Well, he said, academics were never his issue, no problem. Like, I got a 4.0, man. I got to take an extra class. Okay, all right, that's no problem.
Hold on, AG. He didn't have a 4.0. He had a 4.69.
4.69.
He was on that 5.0 scale.
Damn.
He's on a different scale. We was on the 4.0 scale.
Sir, your grade point average looks so good. We already know that you will get a 32 on the ACT. So you don't even have to take it. Just come on out to school.
I mean, this is crazy. So man, listen, you've been at school 2.5 years now. You graduated, but you're working on your master's. First of all, what's your master's degree in?
So it's at the Transformative Coaching and Leadership Program with the School of Education.
Wow.
So it'll be an MED.
Okay.
And what's the goal?
So it's a program that a lot of the athletes go into. But for myself, I think I'll use it for speaking. There's a lot of leadership and philosophical studies in that, where we'll study coaches or we'll study leaders and how they got people to be their best selves. And it's taught by UCLA greats. Like, we have Val Condosfield, who's known as the best collegiate gymnast coach of all time. We got Sue Enquist, who built up the UCLA softball program from the start up. So, I mean, you have people in there who won national championships teaching you every day. And they're also Bruins, so they know what it means to be at UCLA and to be from UCLA. It's a great program.
Do you still have that engineering bug in you?
Not really. I think that creative side really gets taken up in the music at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. But I will say that I learned the other side of it in my public affairs major, where we use data and we use infrastructure We create playbooks based off what's available to help the maximum amount of people.
Wow. Fucking amazing.
You know, man, we almost forgot this question, but I got to get it in now. Whew, because this is a biggie. How was it when you first walked into that locker room and you saw your jersey?
Right. It was very special. And I was excited. I knew I wasn't playing that first game, but just to be able to put it on in warm-ups, I don't think anyone was going as hard as me. You gotta remember, just a year before, I was having one of the best seasons in Texas high school history. So, you know, I was still ready to go. If I had to play that game, I would have played, and I would have played well.
Wow.
But I was so excited. It was really the manifestation of all the years and all the days and efforts, not just for myself, but for my family and all those who poured into me and had this similar vision to me. And to have it come true, not only did it feel like an accomplishment, it felt like, all right, there's a pathway to what's next.
Now, on that jersey, did 11 choose you or you chose 11?
Nah, I think it was both. From the minute I started playing football, I was 11. It was just the number I liked. It was the number that stuck out to me. And been rocking with it for over a decade now, I guess.
All right.
Really? No inspiration behind that? No other player wore
Not
11?
Really. Not really. It was really just, I like the number.
All right. Well, I'm calling UCLA bookstore and I'm ordering me a Chase Griffin quarterback number 11 jersey, and I want the white one.
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's
sir.
what I'm going to do.
Right.
That's what I'm going to do.
Right. That's,
And I'm going to say, hey, you make sure this jersey money go right to Chase account, okay?
I appreciate it.
Hey,
The
listen.
new NIL.
Yeah, that's right.
you got to worry about that. Chase already got his bank account hooked up for
Right,
that.
right.
It already go right to him.
Hey, Chase,
As a matter
I
of
mean,
fact, man.
jumping into that, me and Will want to jump into that on the NIL and the sponsorships and stuff. But explain to us and our viewers now, how does that work if a college like UCLA wants to is selling your jersey? How does that work?
Right. So jersey sales are a little bit tricky. I'm not sure if players are making revenue. I know it opened the door for that, but I'm not sure if players are making revenue off of jerseys just because I think schools don't put our names on
Okay.
them. So it's still, they're getting away with selling the jersey without giving us a piece of the money. But I think eventually it'll build up to that where a school starts selling jerseys with our name on it. They get a piece, we get a piece.
Yeah. Which would be great. Yep, you're absolutely right.
Break down the NIL, because I think a lot of people say it. They don't know what it means, let alone, which, by the way, stands for name, image, and likeness. How does that work?
Right. So it actually came to fruition because of Ed O'Bannon, who's a UCLA great. He was Naismith Player of the Year, national champion. But he sued the NCAA when they were using his likeness in the video game that EA Sports makes. And he sued. They ended up having to discontinue the franchise. And he got a lot of hate for it. You know, there were a lot of people hating Ed O'Bannon because they liked the video game, but they just didn't see what was really the issue. And eventually, this past year, the NCAA's restrictions on it were struck down by the Supreme Court. And Justice Kavanaugh, who was super conservative, said it's an equity issue. A lot of these student athletes who have been making money for all these schools and institutions that profit off of college athletics have been seeing none of it. A lot of these student athletes come from, people of color in historically disenfranchised households and low-income households. And this opportunity to profit off of their own name and likeness, where they can do a commercial now, or they can do a post on Instagram and a deal with the company and get paid for it, or they can just run their own YouTube and make money off of it. Anything that had us in it before this was passed, we could not make any money off of.
Crazy.
And we were the only group campus that couldn't do that. It was us and I think people on certain visas. So we were amongst the only students on campuses that couldn't profit off of our own name and likeness.
That is, wow. All those years, man.
All those years.
They need to backtrack because they owe me and AG a lot of money. No, but I remember that with Ed O'Bannon. As a matter of fact, I remember signing the paperwork, because that was during
Right.
our time. That
Right.
and I was in agreement with him. I mean, they were,
Yeah.
and they have been, and I'm grateful, man, that the athletes like you and others are being able to take advantage of the new rule, especially because you get to make some money, you know,
Right.
and able to invest and do some other things while you are still
Yep.
learning life and all those things itself. But
Right.
tell us about, man, your first deal. How did it come about? Talk to us about it.
Right. So I say most of my deals come from companies or people who work at companies during those decision spaces, seeing what I'm about on social media. And for the Degree Breaking Limits team, that's what happened. Someone who does advertisement with Unilever, which is just the overall group that has a bunch of companies, but Degree is one of them. Saw my profile and asked if I would do it, and I was all the way in. Before NIL, I don't think anyone really knew what deals to expect as far as money or even just the deals themselves. Right. And to start off with a deal like that, and to be able to, give my maximum effort on it, I think has led to other deals. So I'm very grateful.
Man, so we got the Believe brand. That's I'm a logo head, right? I mean, I was always into clothing, fashion, and was about drawing and stuff like that. I just want to applaud you because I love the way you threw that 11 in the Believe, and it's yours. Let me see that shirt again. So hold it up.
Yeah, it's right here. It might be backwards. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I know. We see it. We see it.
And give us the meaning behind Believe.
Right. So Believe, it has my number, but I consider myself three things: a believer, a winner, and a provider. And that's really what the brand's about. It's just an external reflection of me and what I'm about. And, came out with some apparel. I'd say the main, or one of the main functions for the Believe brand is it helps facilitate my donations from the amount of money that I make from NIL. It helps facilitate the process of me donating to the LA Food Bank.
That's all right there.
As far as being a provider, I think it's important to provide not only for yourself and your future family, which I think is very important, but also for those around you who can't provide for themselves. Yep. And the LA Food Bank is excellent. So far, we've donated around 40,000 meals to the LA Weekend Backpack Program for kids who have to eat free lunch to get them during the week. And so on the weekend, they give them pre-packed meals so that they don't starve.
Wow. That is amazing.
Man, that's all right there.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is. Wow. Whew, man. But another question dealing with the NIL is how is that managed? I mean, in terms of your time with school and then having to do what they request of you.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, on every deal, I make the decision, but as far as seeing the deal and stuff like that, my pops is often the point person. And he's great. I trust him definitely as my father, but I trust him even more in this situation because he's worked in the advertisement industry before. So he's an expert as far as, deals, how to bring the deliverables. And so if there's a deal that I like, I run it by him. And if it gets the stamp of approval from him, right? He's not going to say no to something that I like, but he'll give his pros and his cons. Give his advice, and I weigh it just because. And I haven't really had a time in this where I've ever disagreed with him. So it works great. And then I only allocate around 4 to 5 hours each week on NIL. I try to keep it because you never want to forget the main thing. Like when you're in high school, you never want to go around chasing offers and not practice because then you're not getting the offers. Right. So it's the same here. Like you don't want to be chasing NIL deals, but you're forgetting to build your name up and do what it really takes for you to build your name up to even maximize that on the outside.
Wow. I mean, so it's really safe to say that you're picking up a lot of business skills, life learning
Yeah.
experiences of business skills right now while you're still
Right.
playing in college. So this will help
Absolutely.
you when you say you want to be done with, done with, you want to go to Harvard and maybe this will help
Right.
you walking right into the door with that, huh?
Absolutely. And I'm investing all the money I make. I get a good stipend, especially now as a grad student, where I'm able to live every month off of that. So I haven't even touched any of my NIL money. All that's getting invested. For myself, having that vision came a lot from my parents because neither of them graduated without debt.
Yeah.
Like, both of them spent a long time paying off their debt. They went to great schools, great institutions, but really expensive. And it takes a long time to pay that off.
Wow.
For me to be in a position where I have zero debt, nothing to pay off because of my scholarship, I recognize that blessing. In order to make the most of it, I try to invest everything that I can. That way, once I'm done with college and going to the work side, going to the real world, I have a little boost.
Yeah.
As far as others, I think it's important that these financial institutions that made all of these promises, especially after the murder of George Floyd, to help Black communities, to really put their money where their mouth is and their expertise, and to enter into these fields where a lot of these college athletes, like y'all have experienced it, a lot of these college athletes are the only kids in their families or the only kids in their towns that have the chance to graduate from college. And are going to be the only ones who are able to achieve and find stable jobs. And for these kids, while they're still student athletes in college, it's important for these financial institutions to teach them the right habits. Because of course there's going to be kids who go pro. They need financial institutions. They need budgeting. They need this and that. But there's also kids who are just going to get their degrees and they're going to work for a long time, have steady paying jobs, have families, have homes. They need to learn those skills early too.
Seems like you took a page out of Grunk's book. Grunk, they say Grunk don't even spend his NFL money. Say he live off his endorsement money, Will. Gronkowski.
Shaq did the same thing.
Right. The key is get to a place where you
can do that. Yeah.
That's right.
Most people can't afford to put their other paycheck away because the other paycheck pays for them.
Speaking of the athletes, man, I want to ask you too, just about the NIL space. Do the universities help with educating the athletes, or in this industry, are the student athlete really just kind of, if they don't have a dad there or somebody in their corner, are they just driving blind right now?
Right. No, I mean, I'd say for the most part, most people don't have someone like my father around them to give them advice. Definitely not someone familiar. Maybe there's an agency or something like that approaches. But with that brings in a whole nother world of complications. Yep. So I think just to keep it simple, and there's nothing wrong with signing with the agent. It just adds another layer. As far as the financial institutions that can provide accessible and for the student athletes free education, I think it's important that they step in to deliver on their promises. And also it cultivates relationships, because the first people that get into the field are going to have lifetime customers and banking relationships with these student athletes.
Yep.
It's good stuff there, man.
Yeah.
That is good stuff there. Well, listen, man, we've taken up so much of your time, but I have a final question for you, and then AG has a final question for you. And my question for you is, it being Black History Month, and I've heard your passion, particularly for the African-American community and institutions, whether it's educational institutions, financial institutions, doing what they need to do. What, whether current or historical figure that you draw inspiration from, whether you didn't even know, like for me, I didn't know how much I appreciated Chadwick Boseman till he passed. I was like, man, that dude is amazing. So what figure, African-American figure, do you draw inspiration from?
Right. I think there's a bunch, and especially as a UCLA Bruin, there's multiple. But I think there's one who really stands out, and that's that's really Jackie Robinson and what he epitomized. He, at UCLA, started a long line and a lineage of Black athletes changing the world through their athletic and academic careers, starting in Westwood. And to be at the same university that he was at, where I don't think he's completely appreciated as he should be, where not only did he accomplish so many things, but you go into the autobiographies of so many of these athletes that came, 20, 30 years later and were in their prime during the civil rights movement. They look back at Jackie Robinson like, yeah, that was a mentor. And even some of the who their views clashed against Jackie's a little bit just because, of different ages, they still respect him and see him as someone that made it possible for other athletes. So I think you always got to go back to the original. And he really integrated sports and led, in my opinion, I think sports reflect what society is turning into. So I think that in his integration of sports, he helped aid in the integration of this country as a whole. And he made baseball better. He made sports better. And I believe as a whole, he made this nation better. Yeah. So I have utmost respect. He's the ultimate Bruin in my eyes, both on and off the ballpark. And to be able to carry that mantle and be at the same university and wear the same jerseys that he did is a huge blessing.
That's real talk there.
You know what I think, Will? I think Jackie Robinson I think he had part Martin Luther King ways in him, and he had Malcolm X in him, because if you really dive into the Jackie Robinson story, everyone tries to paint him this picture like he never got angry or he never fought back, and that's wrong. He did, but he did it so intelligently and with his conviction of the way he was. I think he came across showing those two strengths of those two men.
He had no weakness. He was so undeniable, both as a player, but most importantly as a person, that there's few others who could have been in position and could have succeeded the way that he did ever. And it's really,
you know who I always
which, by the way, Chadwick Boseman played him. In the Jackie Robinson story.
I love to hear Spike Lee talk about Satchel Paige and Jackie Robinson during that time, and how Satchel Paige, he was just, he was like Jackie had the hood and the suburban in him, but Satch was like that, the hood guy. And they was like, well, we got Jackie already. We'll wait on you, Satchel Paige, till you. But they eventually came around to Satchel Paige and giving him his due and all that. But just two great men, man. I love that you even spoke on them. This our last question for you, man. And we usually say, I want to ask you, what's the next chapter in Chase Griffin's hoop dream? But I'm going to say it like this. What's the next chapter in Chase Griffin's football hoop dream?
So on the football side, it's really all about when I'm in there winning games. So this offseason, I'm getting back to the basics and focusing on accuracy, paint their faces with the ball, and getting stronger, faster, going hard in the weight room. So on the physical side, I'm taking care of that. On the mental side, staying sharp through visualization, which is huge for me. And then outside of that, as far as the NIL space, it's really finding ways to not only progress with my NIL journey, but find ways to pay it forward and give back. We're the first cohort of student athletes to have this opportunity, and the way we accomplish and the way we work with brands now can set the market for years to come.
That's right.
And, I don't take that lightly, and a lot of the people around me don't take that lightly, and we're trying to build a better future for all. athletes in college.
I'm the gold of my era. I've been a trending topic. I'm as fly as a feather. My pockets macroscopic. See, with time I get better. I'm always in the action, kid. Know I got it locked from Chicago, where the toughest live. Concrete jungle, earn my stripes on the pavement there. You make it here, then you can make it anywhere. No comparison. Your game is embarrassing. No one can touch me. I'm all for going there again. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Martha Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Martha Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me.
Hoop Dreams, the podcast, an Unlearning Network production. Written and produced by Arthur Agee, Will Gates, Matt Hoffer, with audio engineering from Matt Savage. For more episodes, check us out at www.unlearningnetwork.com.
Gotta be a dog to survive in this cold weather. Ice in my veins, no need for a warm sweater. I'm coming for it all, best believe I won't let up, yeah. Hey, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Martha Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Martha Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me.